We'll see if it works this time.
We always got to restart once for Table Talk.
Yeah, it's just to let us know that we're back.
Oh. At least I see the same chat, at least.
Yeah, that's actually strange. It doesn't normally do that.
Normally.
Alright, looks like we're live. Just double check something here.
I'll keep a close eye on the...
Okay, that works.
It says Shadow Zitlaff again on the YouTube.
Awesome. I don't know why it does that.
It's really weird.
Especially because it did it correctly last time. Or after I fixed it.
Alright, but we seem to be back. Hello, all.
Okay, and tile does seem to be fixed now.
Cool.
Oh, let's see here. It did say we dumped a bunch of frames, but it looks like we are back up.
Yeah,
Seems to be going well.
I'm keeping an eye on the Twitch.
Yeah. All right. Sorry about that. We're back. Had it happen once. Didn't restart my computer. It also might just be my internet here. It's just not great with upload speeds. And that just might how it be. But at least for now, we're back. So, back to what we were talking about. Edgelords and the Goofballs. Close cousins of the tabletop world. And it requires a proper amount of, I don't know,
Skill.
finessing. Yeah, skills, good one. But it's one of those things where there's also games, and they're not the kind of games I particularly like or run, but there's games out there where you can just, everyone's a goofball, everyone's some weird character, because people like making characters that just don't fit in the universe, you know? They like that contrast.
Me, when I play any, like, BioWare RPG. I like that. Not in every situation, every game, but I do like that. There's an appeal to it. I have some friends that are playing in a Blades in the Dark campaign, and there's a few interesting characters. One of them is a character that goes by Sidious, and he's his real name is Chancellor Palpatine. He uses lightning magic. His nickname in the Blades of the Dark universe is the Senate. You know, that kind of character. It's that kind of game.
Right.
And
yeah.
they have a lot of fun with it. And that's all the power to them. I think it's funny too when I had the character described to me and what they do.
I think I could have fun with it in like a short term, like one shot.
I agree. I think goofy characters are best in really short form campaigns. I like playing with goofy characters, and I like playing super goofy characters for a short amount of time. I do like having like some serious characters that I play regularly though, because I find it more engaging.
Yeah, well, and I think that's the thing, and that's the difference, right? For me, I try to get out of tabletop the one thing you can't get anywhere else, which is the ability to tell your own evoking narrative. You can't have very solid character moments, gaming moments in any other game besides tabletop. Now, you can have goofy characters, though. We've been playing Armello recently, and I play Gore, who's the dumbest looking character in the game.
Doofy bear kind of character.
Doofy bear, and I play him as an overlord Gore, who's just this really weird guy who's sometimes really evil. And sometimes all he does is he wants to help, but he just gets corrupted and then just goes bad.
I like the playthrough we did where Gore was feeding my character with corruption. It's like, here you are, your dark patron.
I give you this curse. Use it well. And then runs off into the woods as a giant tree person. It's great. Absolutely funny. But see, that's it.
Oh yeah, like, I think what I said that night we played it sums up that kind of character the best. Like, how the fuck did you pick every renegade option and get the good ending? Like, that's what that character is.
That's pretty much it was. And that was fun. And that was a lot of fun.
It was a great time.
You know, and that's the thing, though. You can do that. Hell, we played, like, Tyrants of the Underdark as, like, spoof Yu-Gi-Oh characters.
We were Yu-Gi-Oh villains, and we all doubted each other's skill in the game, no matter what play you made. It was always, like, doubting your skill and or mentioning that that's the best card in the game and explaining what it does.
Yeah.
It was so good.
It was so good. That was a hard game for my voice.
No, yeah, we were fucking exhausted after that game. It was so funny.
But, you know, that's the thing. Like, you can get that anywhere else, but I can't play Gore seriously while playing Armello because it's just a fucking board game, you know?
Yeah.
I can't play Tyrants of the Underdark seriously because, I mean, that game, if you tried playing that seriously, everyone would just hate each other.
Yeah.
It's literally a game just about backstabbing and conquering each other.
You just gotta fuck around in it. Like, that's the most fun you can have in Tyrants.
But tabletop is the only place where you can have your own character and your own really good narrative and have literally life-changing moments in and outside of the game. It's something that is so special and so unique, and is the reason why I've clung to tabletop as much as I have, because I honestly believe that as far as, like, luxury entertainment kind of goes, it's one of the best out there because it's so, you can do something so special with it. And a lot of people nowadays are starting to agree. Tabletop is still well on the rise. We're getting to a point where now, like, D&D channels are launching very well off Kickstarters and launching their own kind of campaigns and stuff. Like, there's people who are just famous celebrities because of D&D.
Yeah,
you know,
it's fucking nuts.
The Critical Role cast got more famous from their tabletop than they did their voice acting.
Yeah. I found them through their voice acting, but then I found Critical Role. And then I'm pretty sure that's how it started, and it fucking steamrolls.
And yeah, Tolkien. I mean, that's the kind of the thing. It's just more people are realizing what made it so special. Before, to be fair, it was just viewed as that nerdy thing because it was based off of Lord of the Rings, which fantasy at that time wasn't a very popular genre. Like, not as far as, like, the media was concerned back when it released. A lot of it was, like, fantasy was good, but it just wasn't something you did at home. And that's just one of those things where now we live in an age. I remember when playing Yu-Gi-Oh was made you a laughing stock at school. Now kids play Yu-Gi-Oh and, like, it's just the cool thing to do.
I mean, I laughed at Yu-Gi-Oh kids because I was a Pokemon kid. But
That's a different argument. That's a different story altogether. But like I remember when I was going through school, people who played Yu-Gi-Oh and people who played Pokemon were kind of laughed at school, you know. But like nowadays, you go to schools and like you'll just see like whole rows of tables of just kids playing games. It's awesome.
It's very cool.
And I believe in a healthy mix. I don't believe that everyone should be playing board games. There should be jocks, there should be nerds, you know, that kind of stuff. We should just all be less dicks to each other and let us kind of do our own thing and not laugh at each other for it. That's impossible to ask of the human race, but still. That's just my opinion. Hell, I started my nerdiness in one of the highest forms of nerd, which is LARPing. I did LARPing for like 7 years. I was the monarch of our duchy that we had in our area for like 4 months or something like that.
Damn. I thought I was the royalty here.
Right, yeah. I know. I actually ruled over people. Ha ha ha.
I never crossed that threshold. I knew LARPing was a thing, and when I was younger, I thought it was the lame as fuck. Now I'm just of the opinion of, people can do what they want to do. We have fun.
SEO is cool. I played Amp-Guard, which, to be fair, I think they're both good in different ways. But I think the one thing that universally they both suffer from is people who start taking it too seriously and making it less fun for everyone else. There's what got me out of it was just the amount of politics that came up in a LARPing game. Nuts.
Yeah, that's a little weird.
But anyway, kind of back on topic, goofy characters, right? Now so many people are playing tabletop. Goofy players are way more common than they ever used to be, because there's so many people who are on the very casual side of it. You know, I mean, how serious can you expect someone who's going to a game session that they're only planning to do once? You know, they're gonna sit there and they're gonna try to optimize their fun by making a character they think is really fun.
Yeah.
And a lot of the time, it's going to be some way out there character. Especially after Critical Role, because a lot of people see the personalities that appear on Critical Role, and they're like, I want to do that too. And then they come to the table and they bring a very terrible version of what they thought was happening at Critical Role. And that's not their fault.
Their version of Scanlan or something.
Yeah. Travis has been killing it in this newest season. He brought back the elf as a gnome this time that he played for their Christmas one shot.
Amazing.
Only it's Chutney this time, I think, rather than Chutney, or the other way around. I don't remember. But yeah, Travis is such a character. The whole cast is really good. But the thing is that, like, and to be fair, I've seen people who want to take it very seriously who flop arguably just as hard trying to be too serious. And a lot of it just comes from skill and developing an intuition for tabletop and gaming. I remember Alex here and some of his first forays into tabletop.
Oof, yeah.
And, you know, he's gotten significantly better since then.
That I have.
You're a completely different person than when I first met you at Avengers League.
I was a very different person. Mainly because now I am a little less socially awkward. I can function in social settings now. And I am more confident in myself, so I'm able to actually like play D&D with less shame. Because I was like of the opinion of like, oh yeah, if I just hardcore roleplay, that's kind of lame. And then as I went on, I was like, nah, this shit's fun.
Yeah. Well, you got lucky. You found some good people pretty early.
True.
I know a lot of people who have to go through the ringer when it comes to finding a solid table. You just get a lot of groups that fall apart, or really, really shitty GMs, or really, really weird players.
I've seen those stories and heard some from friends. It's not good.
I've always been the DM, so I've always had the privilege of picking my players. And so, you know, a lot of the time, I've had some terrible players, but like a lot of the time, my groups did pretty well, especially because I trained a lot of my players to be good players eventually. It's just one of those things where, you know, not everyone gets that opportunity, and you got to be patient with people who come to your games and they're just less experienced, because in the end, no one's going to be amazing at tabletop at first. And especially even within your first year, you're probably not going to be that good at tabletop.
Probably not.
It takes like a good year and a half to really start like doing really solid at it.
Yeah, it's something you can improve on if you're really looking to. Depending on your table, you can have the motivation to.
And that's also another thing as well. If you want to, some people don't want to take tabletop that seriously, and they don't want to pursue it any more than like maybe a couple hangouts.
Yeah.
You know, there's lots of people out there who just go to play tabletop and get drunk and then just have it devolve until they eventually just stop playing because everyone's just so out of it, or they've derailed so hard. Yeah. And they love that.
Honestly, that doesn't sound like a bad time. I would probably have fun in that environment.
I wouldn't, but I take tabletop way too seriously.
I view it as an extension to hang out with my friends, so as long as I get the end goal of spending time with my buddies, that's all I care about. Yeah. So if it just changes into us like fucked up on the couch doing something, like watching some dumb movie or whatever, like that sounds like a good time still.
Yeah, I mean, like I don't have a problem with doing that. I don't want to go expecting tabletop and then leave disappointed because everyone got too drunk.
Fair.
You know, it's just one of those things where everyone has different degrees. Obviously, I want to dedicate my life to it, so you know, I take the time and put the work and effort into to create the best games I can play and run for my players. And there's people out there who absolutely hate that kind of stiff looking at it and just like, you know what, the only kind of tabletop I want to play is when I'm super fucked up and we're barely even playing the game. And that's valid.
Or alternatively, you can get fucked up while playing the game and have a character you designed one way just change. Because that's happened to me before.
That's fair.
I've played a character for this level 20 one-shot I did with some buddies. Some people I'd never met before, too. And the reason I was able to play this character is because we were drinking. And I'll be honest, the game itself wasn't great. It was one of those games where like it's a new DM and you have no fucking clue what's going on, like at all. There's like no logic to like most of the story beats, but like whatever. I was basically like helping make it fun by role playing and just messing with like my friend who's playing like he was playing a super serious paladin, like lawful good. I was playing a Loxodon rogue named Kevin, whose entire thing was physically he's really good at stealth and he's really nice, but he doesn't look like a criminal, but he's a hardcore criminal. And he talks like a weird Mickey Mouse kind of deal. And as the more and more I got drunk, the more and more, because the king became a story beat, I kept trying to convince our paladin to let us commit regicide. It's the only possible way we can beat this mission. When that wasn't on the table, I just kept trying to corrupt our paladin. It's the only way. We must kill the king and take his throne for ourselves. It's like, no, I'm not doing. It's the only way. And it was a good time. We had a good night, but that was because we all got fucked up and just devolved into like us making jokes in character.
Yeah, and you know, and that like is fun,
mm-hmm.
and that I think that does sound fun.
I would not want to play every single tabletop game like that, but every once in a while it's really fun to just kind of let loose, not take what I'm doing seriously, and just play a weirdo.
I gotta learn to definitely run with that more kind of style. I need to just have a zany game where people can do whatever. But it's just, to me, it's just like, I mean, we could do this, or
Exactly.
I can make a very evocative narrative and touch your heart.
It's that trade-off. It is not an easy trade-off. But alternatively, if you really want to stretch the improv brain, just get involved in some fucking wacky game hijinks.
I mean, that's what Adventure League was.
Yes.
Adventure League was literally me developing my skills as a DM, just trying to learn how to adapt to anyone who comes to my table.
Yeah, I would say it's a great skill to have.
It is, and that's how we had Sean date like every time we had downtime.
True.
And that definitely put my patience in improv to the test. Oh, hey. Thanks, TAV? I don't know. The V is separated. But thanks for subscribing. But yeah, so the goofy characters. Now, let's address, I think, the main crux of why this video this vlog even exists. And I think this can be used for a lot of other kind of character styles as well, like the edgelord, for instance. Sometimes a goofy character just completely detracts from the game.
Yeah.
Because tabletop in general, in a game where you're fighting for your life, anyone who's not taking that seriously technically is detracting from it.
It's a balance, because there's I would posit that most times a goofy character can fit in this situation. You just need to be skilled enough to like do it right. Because you do it wrong, you're not. It's gonna be bad. And if you're not like solid in your skills of being the guy or whatever, girl, neither or.
Being the class clown.
Yes. If you were not the class clown, it gets laughed at everyone all the time. Like, it's probably not going to go great.
Yeah.
I was that person, and I call myself funny. And
I think you're funny.
Thank you. And I think when I play a character, I am pretty good at making jokes that don't fully detract from like the story. I can play a character that's funny, like charismatically funny, and that works just fine. I have a few characters like that. I even have Sebastian, who I have do unintentional comedy, because sometimes the thing he says is really stupid. And
I love the tea stuff that's come up in our game.
It's such a good running gag. I really hope that the tea thing is something you carry over when you eventually take the mantle of Sebastian. I need future characters to have to deal with the fact that this man thinks that the ideal way to drink tea is bag into water directly to mouth. Like, and because tea is an evolving experience, it gets better as you drink it. That is really good.
It's absolutely great. And the thing about it is, and what makes it work, is so what goofy characters are, and the reason why goofy characters and edgelord characters fail 9 times out of 10 is the person playing them has a very, oftentimes unintentionally, self-centered worldview when it comes to how they run their character. They're always thinking, how can I make my character funny in this moment? Or what do I think is entertaining in this moment? Or I got the perfect idea for some chaos right now. That is the crux, and like any player who plays their character with this mentality is doomed to make a character who's just not fun to be around.
Yeah, that it's super possible because it's the thing of like haha guys, I have like this really cool thing happened, I know how I can make it better, I'm going to do it's my character's time, it's the me show. Like that happens, and it's not good. Though I think it's interesting, TAV mentions like in the chat, like limited to like one shots or campaigns where everyone's cool with it. Very true. If you are going to be playing a really goofy character, like to a character that you think like could break a tone, like clear it, make sure it's okay, because just be, you know, a good player. Talk to your DM, talk to other players, be like, hey, here's an idea I have. Like, here's a fun little concept. I want to play this. Is this good? And if everyone's cool with it, dope. You should have a fun time. That's what's important.
I believe in certain degrees, because let's take, you were a Guilty Gear fan, right? Or not Guilty Gear? Oh god, what's the current one?
You have to be
the one who has the messed up doctor dude, who's
Faust?
really
Faust.
Faust.
That's Guilty Gear.
Okay, all right.
I'm a big Guilty Gear fan.
I'm not as up on it, but Faust I think is a very fascinating character, despite how bizarre he is. And he fits the general world narrative.
He is an interesting character. He's kind of off on the sidelines for a lot of stuff, but they've turned him a little scarier in like the new one, but he's still goofy because like he has an ability that just he gives you a bad haircut and gives you a horrible afro, and his ult is he rams a wheelchair into your ankle.
Yep.
Like it you know, that's hysterical, and it fits the tone sometimes. But it's an anime thing, so they break the tone often.
Well, yeah. But there's a variety of media where certain characters who are just complete goofballs have added to the story rather than detracted. And the thing is, and what always made them work is what they kind of offered in exchange. They never tried to steal the spotlight. They just kind of did their own thing in a way that made the scene progress. In Critical Role, the first season, Grog was a very silly character sometimes. Very goofy, kind of out of it. He had some very killer, serious moments, though.
Oh, yeah.
And I mean, he became the grand poobah.
I mean,
of something of Whitestone.
The amazing moment where, the serious moment where Grog had half of his beard shaved.
Yeah, right.
I love that running rivalry. That was a great time.
It was good. And the thing is I think there's some levels of goofiness that need permission, and there's some that aren't. You can play a silly character and still have a lot of depth and meaning to it, but you need to have the ability to use your goofiness to add to the scene.
I have a pretty good example of that, actually, and it's a character I bring up often for this table talk. I play a bard warlock, well, ex-warlock now, but this character, interestingly enough, began as a joke character for Adventure League, because the character that he's based on was a guy by the name of Dax Flametongue, a heavy metal bard that I played in Adventure League for the, what module was it?
That was for Acquisitions Incorporated.
That thing. And we decided our corporation was going to be a band, like an adventuring band, you know? So then in the game, my character joins because they thought, it's a band. But no, they were an adventuring band. And so I made the joke character that's the adventurer who is forced to be an adventurer is like, I don't want to do this. But he still went along with everything. He still helped, and any jokes he did were not like to the detriment of the party. He just would hide behind you, like all that. He was a massive coward, and like they mentioned like, oh yeah, we're gonna go kill some monsters. Like, how are you all okay with this? Like, it's like you're carrying a sword. Yeah, this sword's for show. It's part of my image. I don't actually kill things. And that was the joke. Like, he's just a musician forced to kill monsters. Later on, when my friend contacted me, asking if I wanted to join a 5e game, I decided to take this character and keep the funny tone and like that concept of him, but I just started morphing him into like a person who could actually exist. And I think that's an important thing if you're going to be playing a goofy character and want it to be like well done. Like a character who's goofy, has really funny moments, but is capable of serious storytelling. It's like at the end of the day, your character's still a person. It's like that's what Scanlan was. That's what Not was, like in Critical Role, like Grog was. Like by the end of the day, like they could have those moments because they were a real person. So you can have a conversation with them. They weren't just goofy 100% of the time. I think that's an important caveat, like you need to have if you're going to pull that kind of character off in a serious game. And take it from someone who's pulled off a kind of goofy character in multiple serious games.
It's fair. And that's the thing too. You don't have to sacrifice the fun you have with your character to do this either. Don't let anyone say make a character who's serious on the inside but goofy on the outside and be like, oh, well, I guess I gotta just take all the fun out of my chaos monkey or whatever. No, you can have shit tons of fun. Way more fun, in my opinion. But we already know my preferences.
Yeah.
When you make a goofy character that is a team player in the end, you know, when you are aiding to the narrative of the game.
I act out in little ways in our D&D game with that bard. Like recently, like a big thing with his character was he had a patron that was just like mentally affecting him. So he would it's really easy for him to ignore like bad thoughts and emotions. So we can just kind of hang out and vibe. That was taken away from him, and now he's acting out in these little ways, like for himself, because he doesn't know how to like be comfortable in a stressful situation, because he's so used to having this crutch that lets him just ignore stress. Now he's in stressful and anxiety-inducing situations. He doesn't know what to do. So we did things like we were dealing with a tense political situation, waiting outside of a castle, a bunch of guards staring down from the ramparts. And so my character has this thing where he can, as a bonus action, just teleport up to 60 feet. So he just starts like, when like one of the guards is like looking at him like lightly, he'll just kind of shift when like whenever the guard turns his head, he'll just like appear like a foot away from himself. Just so he wanted to mess with this guard to like trick him that like he was just going crazy. He got called out, some shenanigans ensued, the paladin gave the "you better behave" look. You know, that kind of thing. It didn't like pull from the scene, it didn't like take away. It was a tiny little goofy moment that fits the character, but didn't like ruin a massive thing for everybody. It was like, here's a little fun side cutaway story. And then now the story over, back to serious storytelling.
Yeah, and that's just one of many ways you can handle a character. Another character that wasn't a player character, so kind of different ground, but it's as close as I can get as a DM, especially as the Forever DM. In the Astrid game, which Alex, you know, which is an anima, it was a very serious game.
Oh my fucking god.
We literally had a character die, and we had to take like a few weeks to like process it.
Yeah, no, it was a game that was so fucking heavy. By the end of it, we begged you not to like. The next game cannot be that hard.
The next game cannot be that soul crushing. Yeah.
Jesus, I've never gone away from games fucking as depressed before. Like, good lord.
You'll always remember that campaign, though.
I will. It was a great campaign.
But one of the characters that showed up in the game was Jack, the Pigeon Lord.
Fucking Jack.
And his introduction to the party was just a street urchin who is stealing food away from pigeons. And then when the players gave him some money as bribes to get some information out of them, he started calling them daddy.
You mean me? He called me that. Because I had the money.
I guess you can show your shame to the internet, that's fine. I was trying to keep it as ambiguous as possible. But yeah, it was Alex's character because he was paying him. And Jack has no shame. And the thing that happened with Jack was, they paid him a fair amount.
I paid him a good amount of money.
And they taught him some stuff about like how to use money, and then he went off and he became a backpack magnate.
Yeah. He came up with the fucking weirdest inventions that, like, they could be useful, but they're like novelty items almost.
He came up with a tent backpack that you could just pull a cord and it's just poof, back your tent pops out. You know, and the thing is that, like, he was smart. He was way smarter than his situation would have left you to believe. You know, you guys set him on the path, and he became successful out of it. He was still weird. He still called you daddy.
Yeah.
And he just spent a lot of his time focused on backpacks.
He knew his market. He knew what he was good at. And he got really good at it. And it was one of the situations in game where whenever we see Jack the Pigeon Lord in game, we got so excited. And we just talked to him for a good while because it's fun to talk to him. And it was an extra fun moment for me because my character fucking despised Jack. He hated him. He thought he was really annoying. But I, out of game, really liked it, so I would force them both to interact. So then we could have that interaction of my character doing that thing of like, oh, I'm pretending that I think that I can tolerate you because you're useful, but in reality just seething every time he calls him daddy.
And that's just the thing of it, right? That's a good example of a character who's goofy. He's Jack the Pigeon Lord. Like, you could see a player at like Adventures League picking this kind of character profile out.
Yeah.
And he turned into a very good and interesting character. And that was because, well, he is an NPC, so I guess I can't really use him as a good example of what you should do. But if you want to play a goofy character in any sense, remember, it's a cooperative storytelling game. Your shenanigans should be in aid to the narrative in some form or fashion. Even if it's your character hates tension and feebly tries to break it with gags, that's a real thing. You know, that's something you can talk about.
Yeah.
If your character discovers with a really good roll, you know, like the secret door, and you just dress it up as, my character leans against the wall, and then it suddenly moves and he just falls on his ass, and then the fire, or the alchemist fire in his pocket explodes and his pants catch on fire, so he starts running around like a madman for a second, you know, something like that.
I could see myself pulling the fake door gag, like the character, like,
yeah.
Oh yeah, I know there's a fake door there, and just like leans, is like, just being casual and dramatic. Oh, look what I found! Aren't I great? I could see playing that bit. That'd actually be really fun.
Jack the Pigeon Lord might be a cousin to Dora the Explorer. The cousin they didn't talk about.
Yeah, like that cousin where they're just like, we don't talk about Jack.
We don't talk about Jack. You don't know Jack.
I associate him with the sound of falling coins. There you go.
Yeah.
little reference for you.
There's all kinds of fun things you can do, and this very, you know, chat we're having here, this what we're doing right now is my cry to the universe, my pleading, please. If you want to play these kind of chaos monkeys, just remember, it's a group experience. You're telling the story with other people. Your shenanigans should never take away from the narrative or from what anyone else is doing. That doesn't have to not be fun either. You can still have your shenanigans. Just remember to keep it in the context of the narrative. That's it, you know.
Yeah.
There's some times where you're talking to the king, and then one of the players is just like, hey, can I wear your crown? And then everyone looks at them with fear in their eyes because the king is like renowned for beheading people. And you knew that, and you did it anyway because you thought it'd be funny. But now the players have to figure out how they're going to keep your character from dying. or they're gonna let your character die, and that's just awkward.
So
Don't be an asshole.
So that reminds me of another goofy story from a character I played. So I played a character in one of my home games. His name is Adam McLaren. He was an elf monk who was a private detective. And over time, he just devolved into me. Just me fucking around with my friends. He's the essential joke character. He did have some serious moments in the game, though, because it's me, and I need to have that. But there was a moment where we teleported into the capital city of my friend's world, this country we're in, and my character was fucking around with the guard and was like, he lied and was like, "Yo, by the way, we're about to meet royalty," and the guy was like, "I don't care, just keep moving." It's like, "Yeah, we're gonna meet some cool rich people," and they go in and they're getting a briefing for a big mission by this duke, and my character at the end of it's like, "By the way, we need to speak to the king. We really need to talk to him. I swear, it's really important." It's like, "Is it?" "Yeah, totally. We need to touch base." Basically, the little pushback of you can't just talk to the king whenever you want to. And I'm like, "Yeah, but I kind of want to though." And so eventually we talk. He gives in because my character will not stop bringing it up for the whole conversation. He keeps making a serious point and then saying, "By the way, we should talk to the king though." Annoys the fuck out of these nobles. So the point was like, "Fine, get him. Have him meet the king." And so my DM friend, my buddy, pulls out the best card as they meet. Full on neat handshakes. By the way, I'm a very busy man. I don't like my time being wasted. I certainly hope this is a real meeting you want and not some weird joke you're playing. I would get really upset if this was just a meaningless meeting. And so in that moment, I had to immediately justify why we were doing this. And everyone at the table was like, "Alex, what the fuck did you do?" And I was like, I pulled it out. And the large reason why my character did all of this is so when he teleported back to their home city, he could tell this guard, "By the way, we met the king. Are you impressed yet?" He wasn't. It's fun to have those little encounters that's I'm doing this really dumb, roundabout, massive, important meeting in the context of the story because my character wants to impress someone who doesn't like him. And yeah, it's a great time. That is a story we bring up out of game, now in this group. We talk about some of these goofy encounters I forced the party to have.
Yeah. And, I think that also brings up an interesting point as well. You can have serious characters also be goofy, and I highly recommend you do that with all your characters. Have levity, have fun moments, have moments where your characters are broken down and are no longer their serious selves.
Yep.
But are actually humans and kind of goof around sometimes. Cradle to Crypt has taught me that a lot of serious characters can have really silly, goofy moments.
Yes.
Because this group has been very phenomenal when it comes to everyone is playing a relatively very serious character, and yet we have some just amazing, funny moments of just everyone just goofing around. Y'all struggling with an elevator for 10 minutes.
I was gonna ask you, what are some notable goofy moments you remember from Cradle to Crypt? What are your favorites that you think about?
The elevator one for sure.
Elevator was great.
That was just a moment of, you guys were literally not that long ago in a base that had computers and all kinds of high tech, but you get to an elevator. You can't. Well, only one of you actually get into the elevator, take it one floor up because they don't understand how numbers work, and then just decides to take the stairs with everyone else.
Yeah, some of us were wigged out by the elevator. I don't trust like that.
And literally not many sessions ago, you guys were in a base full of computers in a Renaissance world, going through a secret science base.
We didn't understand that shit either, though.
No, you didn't. But you somehow handled that better than the elevator.
True. I know there's been a few things I've said as Sebastian that have killed everyone. I don't remember all of them because I, as a person, just say something and then forget I've ever said it. My memory is fucking garbage.
The only other memory I have at the moment is when you're with Kitwana and you're all having a drink, and Ken's there too, and Kitwana gets really drunk, and then like because it's a little nippy outside, he's just like, "Oh, it's so fucking cold. I could cut this table with my nipples." And yeah, that was another great moment for that table.
I love Kitwana.
Kitwana was very good.
I hope we see them again. Oh yes, Six Sebastian was really good.
Six Sebastian was also really good.
That is, it was very fun to play this character because like, that is a thing in his backstory. He grew up a large majority of his life. He lived in a sterile environment. He has a horrible immune system, so because he just did not grow up getting sick. So when he gets sick, it was like, what the fuck is happening to my body? This is awful. I really like the moments where fucking Alexei was like, Sebastian, time to trade, hearing the door locking and something blocking the door. Like, I'm not doing that. All because fucking Sebastian's composure was so good, you couldn't tell he was not like strong enough to continue training. We eventually passed out.
Yep. But yeah, like, and this is the thing, and this kind of just bleeds into tabletop in general. Everyone is excited about your characters, and that's understandable. I get excited about my characters. When you're at the table, when you're playing the game, tell the story with everyone at the table. Be a part of the group. Try to push the narrative forward. Your DM is there to provide you an interesting experience. If your DM gives you bait, take the bait. Have some fun with it. Some really interesting things can happen because of that. And honestly, as much fun and as awesome as you think your character is, your character gets uplifted by everyone else at the table. If everyone is helping everyone at the table tell their narratives, then you have the power of, between 3 and 6 people making your character's story even better. That's the real part of this talk. Whatever kind of story you think you can tell with your character, I promise you, your story will be even better if you have everyone else help you do it. And the only way that's going to happen is if you participate in their story stuff. Because then they'll be invested in your character for helping them out. If you've ever played any game that has that awesome wingman character who is always right by your character's side, kind of lifting them up or whatever, they're always fun, great characters, and you always get super invested in them.
I'm trying to think of a character like that in a game I've played.
A lot of the cast in Persona is really good for that.
That's right. That's about right.
Ryuji.
The problem is
sidekick character.
I was thinking of Persona 4, and I hate the sidekick character.
I never played Persona 4, and Persona 4 it looks like it has a very
Persona 4 is really good. I cannot stand Yosuke.
That's fair.
Because the problem is the game is really dated, and so they have the characters say some very dated stuff, and it comes across, because that's what it was when it was written, as Yosuke is incredibly homophobic. And it's really uncomfortable for some dialogue scenes where you're just like, I don't want to support you because I don't like what you're saying.
Yeah,
that's the only time I would like. That's the worst character in that game. Cast is really solid though.
Oh god, does the lawyer game? I can't think of the name for it.
Oh, you right. Yeah, Maya's the best. Maya Fey is the best sidekick character ever. She's hysterical. Yeah, Ace Attorney. It's
Ace Attorney. That's what it was.
Ace
okay.
Attorney.
I was like sitting there, like, okay, what's it called?
Because Maya is, she's a great support character. Because her job is to lightly hint and make fun of Phoenix, which is that's what everyone in the game does, but she does it with good humor.
And Nyctilism here. I tend to squelch my silly character ideas because I'm worried I'll get tired of playing a character inspired by, for example, a Karen type witch who dictates complaint letters to her calligraphy worm.
That sounds really funny.
That does sound like a really fun idea, and for that character idea and how you can make it work, all you have to do is just make it more of a passing trait than the character's whole character.
Sure. That's a really funny quirk, and I would like to. It's a quirk I would like to see in game, but it's either if honestly, like if it's not your entire character, or if it's a one shot, that can't just be your entire character because it's a one shot.
Oh god, what was that character that Sam played in the first Critical Role when Scanlan was gone for a bit?
I don't know, dude.
Oh god, it was. I can't think of his name.
Evan, who was it?
He was playing an artificer, and he had this robot called Dodie. And he's like, Dodie, write this down. And then he would dictate something to Dodie to write down. And it was really funny. Tarrington, that's what it was.
Tarrington. I didn't know that was a thing.
Darrington. Okay. Oh, Darrington, that's right. That's what it was. Again, another great Sam character. Perfect example of that character that has that kind of thing. Just don't get sucked up by the Karen aspect and you're good to go.
Totally.
Second part. I'm really glad you said that. I've recently been frustrated by so many RPG experiences where other players just forget about supporting one another, including supporting the DM. That's actually a really good point.
Yeah.
Remember, the GM is a player and they're putting a lot of work to make sure everyone has fun. The best thing you can do as a player is try to live up to their story expectations in a reasonable way. If you have a terrible DM who's forcing you to play in a certain way, that's bad. But if your DM is sitting there baiting you with hints or giving you an evoking narrative, get invested in it. I guarantee you'll have a good time. But yeah, I it seems very popular today, especially. A lot of people want cooperation in their games. So if you feel like, oh, if I do it though no one will do it for me, don't worry, they'll do it because they'll become invested in your character anyway. Like it's like you and your best friend. If you and your best friend are like, if like your best friend's into something and you want to like help them, you'll do it. And then when you do something, your best friend will probably come in and do it for you. If your best friend doesn't do that, they're probably not a good best friend. But that's a different conversation. It's just something where the narrative gets better when everyone is telling it together. And there's so many things. And Critical Role is such a good... I keep using them, but that's just because, one, everyone knows them. And two, they're a really good example of people who have very good character acting skills. And this is because they're a bunch of theater nerds. And so they know that their characters need to be running with the plot. And so there's a lot of scenes in Critical Role where 2 of the characters, 3 of the characters get together and talk to someone. They're excited to talk to each other. You'll see a scene and they'll be like, oh, hey, I catch up to, Jester, or like, I see Caleb's moping in the corner and I come over and bring him a cupcake or something like that. They hand these scenes together and it eventually makes them really well off. You mentioned earlier the Grog scene where Grog got half his beard shaved off. That was only because the two have been having this kind of like rivalry for a good portion of the campaign.
Yeah. Fucking tripping Vax because he made a pun in the cave. I love that little like rivalry they had. It was such a good time.
There's so many things where it just gets better when you try to work with everyone else around you. There's so many players I've seen who get really stuck in their head thinking, oh, I have this really good character idea. I can't wait to live it out. And then all they do is either try to have their character act out in a scene or try to bait other characters into thinking they're cool or something like that. God, I hate when that happens. I hate seeing that like in real time. Like Adventures League is a good example. There's a lot of times where just like a player's like, oh, my character's just sitting there stewing, drinking his mug and glaring at other people in the room, you know, or something like that. And that's like such an edgelord, such a look at me kind of moment. When instead you can have, if anyone has played the recent League of Legends game,
Taken King? Or the Ruin King. Yeah, Taken King's Destiny.
Yep. Close.
Yeah. Good game, by the way.
Yasuo.
Oh my god, yes.
A really well-written edgelord character, surprisingly.
He's very interesting, especially because he's the only time I've been able to separate Yasuo from the people I believe that play him.
Yeah. Yasuo from other Yasuo players.
Oh my god, Yasuo players.
yeah.
I have had no
Voiced by
experience.
Liam O'Brien. Liam O'Brien
Really
is
good
great.
job.
Also Critical Role, so you know. But I don't think he did the writing for the character.
No.
But the character was written really, really well. And having a good foil like Braum in the party, who is a very loving, you know, like friendly kind of person. He actually was not as cringy as I thought, and actually was really well done. I honestly haven't played all that much after getting Pyke, so I didn't get to see many of the Pyke scenes. Pyke's also kind of like an edgelord character.
Yeah.
But I'm assuming the writing was well done for him as well.
I also haven't played as much, but that's because just a lot of the games came up. Taken King is very good. It's Ruin King. God fucking damn it.
Yeah.
That's what my friend
Playing
did
a
when
lot
the
of
game
Destiny
came out.
lately.
No, that's the thing too. My friend did the same shit. Like called it everything but the Ruin King when it came out. Because like when I was in Austin for a Warhammer thing, all three of us were playing it, and so like everyone except me would call it the wrong game. It is a good game though. It's very well done. I'm excited to see League of Legends prosper outside of the shitty base game.
Yeah, I agree.
Also, did you know that a pretty prominent Warhammer author actually now works with Riot and wrote Arcane?
No.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
And I think it's Graham McNeil's his name. He has a lot of like some of the best books in 40k. And he now worked on Arcane.
And Arcane was really well done too.
Arcane was phenomenal. Like, holy shit.
All right, we got a question here from Nictolism. Nictolismen. So as a DM, if you had a player that was playing a really disruptive goofball and another player who hated that, would you prefer the annoyed player came to you or went to the goof to work it out? Okay, so this is the thing. I'm assuming hated means that it bothered them. They didn't like hate the person or whatever. I don't know why it was in like asterisks otherwise. Or that might have just been like because that's also used to like italicize stuff in some font or formats.
I think it's just like it's the tone of like it's someone hated, like that kind of
Right.
just tone.
Maybe.
It's just someone who just can't stand that behavior. Like it's
Either way, unfortunately, this comes to a situation of everyone's proficiency at talking. People's people skills can vary widely, and the person who should handle it should be the person who knows how to handle those situations the best. Sometimes that's the DM. Sometimes that's another player at the table. In the end, the DM is the one who's running things and needs to be the arbiter of everything. You know, they're the ones who are in control. They're the ones who have the power to kick a player and so on and so forth. You need someone in control so that everything works out. Otherwise, things can get out of hand. And as someone who's run Adventure League games where people feel entitled, they're like, no, you work for Wizards of the Coast, you have to do this for me. We don't work, we don't even get money, so get out of my fucking table. You know, it honestly, it just depends on who you believe has the best social skills at the table, because I have really good Nick Tal is man. Okay. I have really good personal skills. I'm really good at talking to people, and as the DM, it works out perfectly. It allows me to arbitrate the situations, handle it. I do it all, pretty much. I've met plenty of other DMs who are really not socially adept. They may be good storytellers. They may be great DMs in some sense, but they just have really terrible people skills. And honestly, going to them can make things worse because they don't know how to properly interpret the situation or how to how to de-escalate it in a sense. So yeah, unfortunately it just depends. There's too much variance in that. The DM is the default if all else is equal. But, you know. Okay, yeah. And that's fair. Sometimes it's up to the DM to say, hey, we all came here with the expectation that we were going to play in this fashion. So, you know, how can we make this work? Sometimes when it's social situations are hard. I can think of an endless number of reasons why the answer could change. So I'll just say that whoever has the best social skill should handle it. If not, the DM. And after that, you're just on your own. Because people are hard, and sometimes even with the most socially adept people leading the conversation, someone else can just make it crash and burn. Yeah. I've seen players just leave games because they could not get what they wanted out of it. And honestly, they deserve to leave the game. So sometimes that's just an option. And should always be an option. If you're talking what as a DM would prefer, I would prefer to handle it because I know I can handle social situations better than most.
And if I was in the position as the player who's annoyed, I would just default to, say, Cameron. I'm okay in social situations. I don't know. I would say I'm decent at conflict avoidance and like handling a problem and like communication. Like if there's an issue, I'll bring it up, like actually talk it out. But like, I would rather handle it, give it to someone who I believe would be more experienced, which is Cameron. And as someone who's played Adventure League with you, like I am aware.
Yeah. Trust me, I've had plenty of that at Adventures League. And maybe that's because some DMs are really shit at handling social situations and don't want it coming their way. I personally believe the DM is the one who needs to be in charge because that's the expectation. And so when it comes to player disagreements, should handle it. But I also know that there's not, there's some DMs who just can't handle that. So you want to know what I personally would say? That's my answer. DM should handle it if they're good at it. From the DM perspective, also. It's hard for me to get from a perspective of not being able to handle social situations because I can handle them really well. I'm sure there's tons of DMs out there who just want to run the game and don't want to deal with drama, and that's completely legitimate. They still need to make sure that the game runs smoothly, and if players are fighting with each other, they in the end are the ones who have to handle it. So, I guess go to the DM. Also, never feel afraid to talk these things out. people highly underestimate how powerful it is to talk things out. So many things can be so much more easily solved if you just talk it out with each other. Don't be afraid. Don't be afraid to say someone is doing something you don't like. Just approach it in a respectful fashion. That's it. And sometimes a negative thing will happen, and you just gotta live with it because that's life.
Yep.
But yeah, so overall, I think the lesson of the day is sometimes people need to be reminded that the game is about cooperative storytelling. It's not about how cool my character is, because I'll tell you, a table full of players who think their characters are really, really cool oftentimes don't work out that well. But a table full of a bunch of players who think each other's characters are really cool always work out really well, typically. Unless they're all chaos monkeys, in which case, thoughts and prayers to the DM. If you want to see a really good table that's good at uplifting each other, especially in narrative moments, check out our Cradle to Crypt campaign. It's got some holes in the beginning because we were still getting started and, things happen. But for the most part, the series is whole, and it's a group of wonderful players who are really good at role-playing and are really good at lifting each other up and helping each other tell their narratives. So that's the best. As far as here, take a look at this. Other than, of course, Critical Role, in which case most of the players are pretty good at it. I think Marisha wasn't so solid in the first campaign with Keyleth. I think Keyleth was a lot more of a selfish character, but I actually really liked Bo in the second campaign. And the second campaign, I think they all had it a lot better together and were much better at cooperating.
I enjoyed season 2 more than season 1, so, and I've yet to even complete the series, to be honest. But that's just because it's really long, and I can't sit down and watch that much content.
That's fair. Not everyone can have cheese. You just gotta take what you can digest,
Yeah, I know of cheese.
I know of cheese. Yeah, and sometimes the only thing people will watch of the campaigns will be those clips. But you know what? That's fair too.
Yeah. I will mention when it comes to Cradle to Crypt campaign, I would say that's just a good way to show goofy moments in a serious game, because the example we gave of the elevator scene earlier, that was, I want to say, a session or two after my character and another one had a really emotional moment where he really came to grips with his failings as a person, and had this beginning of their major character development, where they realize I'm in danger and it's really hard for me to accept help from somebody, and it facing their trauma and fucking crying on multiple ends. And then next session, how the fuck do elevators work though, for real? What the fuck is this?
For real.
That's
So
how
good.
it goes. That's a fun D&D campaign, like any good story. This is something Cameron and I have talked about a lot, and I've said I've said this so many fucking times, to Cameron. But if you want to make a solid, dramatic and sad story, you need comedy. If you want to make a good comedy, you need sad moments. You need to have a mix of both ends of the spectrum, so you can actually have a more worthwhile other end. Something's not funny unless there's the sad moments to compare it to. Something's not sad unless you can compare it to the good moments in life. That's just how it goes. You need the positive to show why the negative is worth going through. That's an important aspect. If you can bring that to your character, you're going to bring a lot of worth to your game.
And I made my future campaigns not as sad.
Yes. Appreciated. I've been hinting at it for years, Cameron.
Have I not done so, my liege?
I should be saying that, Mr. LARPer over here.
But yeah, you know. And yeah, Nicholas Man. I had to read the pronunciation there. I'm sorry, I'm terrible with names. And I also forget. I can't even count how many times I forgot a name today in this chat. Names don't stick in my brain,
Same.
unfortunately. My brain just thinks too fast. The information just goes and it's gone. It's in a pile somewhere. I won't fully forget it. I won't hear it again and be like, who was that? I'll hear it again and be like, oh, right, that, yeah. But it's just that the organization system in my brain is just, it's all over the place. But anyway, sorry. Yeah, what you were saying about watching PCs slowly shrink away as the goofball character dominates the screen time, that means your DM is not properly managing your player spotlights. A good DM is one that calls out characters to ensure that they're participating and properly make sure that as many characters get screen time as much as possible. Sometimes you have that player in the game, and I've had this a bunch at Adventures League, who refuses to let go of the spotlight, and sometimes they have to be put in their place. Preferably by the DM, not by another player in that situation. But yeah, the thing is, and like the whole reason why this video is even here today is just for me to be like, hey, your goofy characters are valid. Just please make sure that you're playing with everyone and not playing with yourself. That's frowned upon in most social situations.
Playing with yourself.
I'm glad you enjoyed that joke, Alex.
I have the sense of humor of a child.
Good, so does most of you two. That means we're on the right track.
Good.
Yeah, like, so I'm curious. Now's a good time to get a little sneak peek behind the scenes, but were you planning on doing any other editing for some of the videos? Or has school been too much?
I will say it's looking like it's gonna be a bit too much. And it's I'm probably not gonna be able to edit as often. If I do, it'll be because I have a gap that's open in my schedule.
Okay.
It's a little much.
That's fair. Well, the next video that we will be producing here will be the Inventor. So,
Ooh.
Inventor is
The
going to be a
class
fun
I
one.
don't understand.
That's why we're making a video.
They're like a little simpler than Alchemist.
They're more complicated, but they have less to manage.
I guess there's a lot of reading when I was skimming through the Inventor part, and I was like, thank God I don't have to present a report on this. I can just talk about the funny guns.
Also, I just realized my camera's been blurry like this whole time.
I mean, it's a podcast format,
whatever.
essentially. So
Yeah. But yeah, Inventor's coming out. It's really fun. I really enjoy it. I'm playing a Inventor for like a mid-campaign one-shot kind of thing we're doing for one of our character arcs. And I'll tell y'all, man, the Inventors are nuts. My character is he's really fun. I can't wait. If you want a weapon that can literally do everything, Inventor's the way to go.
I have a lot of that, like customized stuff. It's really weird and really
I
cool.
am curious. I know a lot of people have been enjoying the current format, but I did manage to get, at least for the Hedronix anyway, a much shorter video, and so maybe I should do something more like that, where I just talk less about overall stuff and
Yeah,
just point out the things I like.
I think the important aspect is pointing out the cool shit you can do in a game. I think that's what matters more often. Um,
Well, I mean, that's what I do in the videos,
yeah,
though. Like,
I
I don't
mean,
go through everything.
I would say I think you talk about it at an acceptable length because I've ranted about way too long content for Pathfinder before, and I believe your content's like decently, like it is well paced. It's not like the length of your videos are not a problem. I don't know, like if what you say has worth in 10 minutes, like all the power to you. If
That's
what
right.
you're saying in like 20 minutes is a lot of cool information, like power to you.
It's hard not to talk about all the cool things.
Yeah.
There's so much really fun stuff, and like, oh, there's too much. There's too much. But that's the whole point of the videos, is just be like, hey, there's some really cool stuff. And, you know, it's those kind of videos, I think, that draw the most interesting sorts of people. Because it draws both the people who are super casual, who are just like, this is really cool. And it draws the number crunchers in, who are just like, I hate anything that's not optimal.
Lame.
And you, sir, are not optimal.
Why don't you optimize some bitches, bro?
Right.
It's so fucking lame. Whenever I see those comments in your channel, I'm just it takes every ounce for me just not like just go like fuck full on like fucking nerd.
Right.
Just scream nerd because it's just have fun. Play the character that sounds cool. They don't have to have the good number. They can just be fun.
I will say, for anyone in the community, please understand, when people are typing like this, they just play in a different way than you. And if you argue with them, you only reinforce their point, because they'll never truly believe anything you say because they believe they're right.
There's you gain nothing from contributing to that discussion. Hence, that is like the main reason I don't. Besides the fact that I think it's funny to poke that bear, because any response that they receive, I find funny. I'm not gonna do that because I'm an adult and I can control myself. So, like, you know.
I don't know what's all these like Russian bots coming in and typing weird stuff.
That's very strange.
They're not even
very
links.
Weird. No, it's just a random text.
And what's so weird, I have it open on my other monitor here. Oh, my chat hasn't been updating.
Has it not? I've been seeing it.
No, not on mine anyway.
That's weird.
Is there a refresh button? Oh, it's because I'm in creator mode. It was only to top chats, which instantly filters those out. Yeah, they're not even links. I don't know.
Yeah, it's fucking like sleeper agent code that they're dropping.
The Russian spies. They're like, yes. Look at this channel, so small. Perfect for giving information to spies.
That's nuclear launch codes, bro.
Yeah.
And they have some they have some sleeper agent in like a Pathfinder community, and they're like, we have to outreach. We have to find them.
Yeah, for real.
We know they play Pathfinder. That is it.
We hit spy too good. But I don't know. I guess you have any closing ideas or statements about goofy characters you want to make?
Play a character concept you finds fun. Be respectful to everyone around you. If you're gonna make some weird goofball character, do it with enough tact and care that it's actually like fun for everyone else. Have a little bit of awareness. If something ain't hitting, stop doing it and change your groove. Not everything's gonna hit. Not every audience is gonna be down with it. Just adapt to a situation and make a character that's fun for everybody. There you go.
Tact's a great word. Tact's a great word for this. Having tact with any character you play, I think, is good.
Yep.
I think this also applies no matter how cool you think your character is, or how excited you are to get to your character's story arc, or to reveal your backstory or whatever. Please remember, it's a group storytelling. Don't just sit there baiting people into your storyline. Invest in them, and they'll invest in you.
Here's another message we brought up earlier, but I think it applies again here. If you are, say, playing the opposite spectrum, you're playing an edgelord, you're playing a serious character, like super serious. Here's a little cheat for y'all. Here's a little surprise tool we'll use later. What you do is be okay with people making fun of your character. Join in, make fun of your character, make jokes at their expense. They will become way more likable. If your character is badass McGee, nothing bad ever happens, they're always cool even when they fail, everyone's going to think they're a loser. If they are a character that is capable of very cool things, but you have the humility and the not that high of an ego about the character to like properly have them be the butt of a joke sometimes, they will be infinitely more popular. It's way more fun to deal with. I also agree with that. Just
Good job,
others.
Timothy Guild.
Yeah.
Is it a whole guild of Timothys?
Have everyone join in on the shenanigans. If everyone wants to take part, let them take part. And don't do shenanigans for your sake. Do it for the group's sake. Give little roleplay opportunities where everyone can contribute. Even if their contribute is like, my character is like not looking, doesn't want to be involved. Like, that's still fun. Like, you can have the serious characters like, I'm not approving of these shenanigans, chaotic character. That still has an element of like fun.
Yasuo from the I want to say the Undying King, which is
that's not a
Pathfinder.
That is Pathfinder.
The Ruined King. Great example. Character who has he just doesn't care. People want to make fun of him. He's like, whatever. I know who I am. Kind of situation. But yeah, it's all about having fun. And if you just want to come to the table to have fun, perfect. You're already there. You just don't take the scene, don't play selfishly, and you're A-okay. You can still have plenty of fun. If Sam Riegel can play good characters in tabletop, you can too. Because there's no bigger chaos monkeys than Sam Riegel.
Yes. If you're so determined to play a badass character who does situations only for themselves and thinks about themselves, just play Skyrim, bro. Just fucking like boot up Elder Scrolls and play out and roleplay out your cool character in a single player environment. So that's kind of what it sounds like you'd want to do.
Yeah, write a book.
Yeah.
You know what? Actually, this is gonna be super off topic, but I think it's really relevant for the very end of this chat we're having here. Are murder hobos even a thing anymore?
I have experienced very little of them. I feel like they might still exist, but for a murder hobo to like exist, it has to be in a table where the DM is okay with it, or a person who is so like under a rock from like general like tabletop like pop culture that they're completely unaware that it's a negative thing. Because I feel like everyone's seen those stories of like the murder hobo, like the murder hobo like problem players. There's been so many of those like bad D&D stories. I feel like a lot of the murder hobos might be like, oh shit, I did that. Whoops, I won't do that.
Yeah, because it's become such a pop culture thing. Adventures League, I guess, is a good example of where you can find some murder hobos. We did have one. Sean was...
I did everything in my fucking power to stop it.
Yeah.
Holy shit. I was so annoyed when I did everything in my power to basically create a character he had into like a workable thing and like into something that functioned really well in a group, and I was proud. And immediately next campaign that was all thrown out the window.
Yep.
I was so like downtrodden. I was like, damn it.
Yeah, sometimes you can't take the murder out of the hobo.
Yeah.
But I don't know, because I was thinking, like, maybe I should do, or maybe we should have a table talk about murder hobos. But I have so little experience with murder hobos, besides Sean, that I wouldn't even know, like, how to properly address it. But if chat, wants to get in on it, or if anyone's watching the video for some reason still at this point, leave a comment in this, in the below section on this video, and maybe we'll talk about murder hobos. I don't know what we'll talk about next quite yet. I never really do until like a few days before. I'm too. I improv through everything.
Sometimes I know the topic of our table talks an hour before we do it. It's kind of fun.
Sometimes.
But to be fair,
I try to be better.
It is sometimes. I will. It's not often, and also just I'm here to be an audience surrogate and make my own points. So like, it's not the worst thing if I don't know what a topic is.
That's fair, but I do like you to have some idea.
This one, I was like, I've been like, shit, I know what I'll talk about.
This is your brand right here.
Basically, I play a lot of goofy characters. I've only recently started like really playing serious characters. Next Pathfinder game I join, I'm gonna be playing a serious character. I'm a fucking gunslinger preacher, dude.
Yeah.
And you know that I'm going to allow for him to be the butt of a joke, because inherently he's going to be kind of edgy, but that's because he's going to be a grizzled old gunslinger. That'll be fun.
You heard it here, folks. You want to see an edgelord done right? Just pay close attention to Alex's next character.
Okay, hey guys, now don't put that pressure on me. Listen, I've never actually played a character who was just actually meant to be cool. So this is going to be a learning experience to play a character where people are meant to actually think is pretty cool. I always play characters who are kind of pathetic. So this will be interesting. This will be an interesting little foray.
It will be. And yeah, so I don't know. I feel like murder hobos is something that the chat will eventually want to talk about, but maybe just not anytime soon. I think
the only way we could do that topic is by basically talking about other people's experiences with murder hobos. Like, hey, audience, write in about your murder hobo experiences, because we've never had it. None of us have, neither of us have dealt with it, because we're not at those tables where that's like okay and permitted.
Yeah, I mean, I'm a pretty like hands-on DM. I like to stop problems typically before they start.
There's legitimately no opportunity for us to do that in your games. Besides the fact that none of us would do it.
Well,
but,
yeah, you're all handpicked by me to be in my games.
It would be stopped really quickly if we tried. So there's not a chance. And I play D&D mainly with you guys, so like
that's fair. Yeah, and Sean was mostly handled by players. Funny enough,
me,
you and Devin.
Holy shit! Yeah, we put the work in. We put in those 1,000 hours. Like we mastered that shit.
Yeah, it's just I don't know. It was just something to me where it's just like I thought about. I'm like, I've honestly never really seen murder hobos besides Sean, but Sean was more like.
It was a young kid. It was just a young kid didn't know. You know what? I bet in like a while, or maybe even like right now, they're probably better. Like
I think he's going to Adventures League again.
I mean, hopefully he's improved. I mean, I wish the best for him.
Yeah. Though some of the DMs for that, there's some new people running it besides Sakura, who's still running it. But Sakura's not the best example of a DM. So like, I definitely believe there's some situations where you just can't learn anything because you don't have good examples.
I hope there's an improvement there. Alternatively, I'm never going to be back in Adventures League because I, one, don't live there, and two, I have other games I want to do.
Yeah.
So
yeah, Adventures League.
I only did eventually because y'all were there. So like, if y'all just stopped going, I'd stop going.
Yeah, I got engaged through it, so you know.
And you lucked out.
I'm good. I have no reason to go back.
Yeah, you're set, dude.
Don't. Actually, you know what? Huge, like, public announcement. Don't go to eventually to try to get a girlfriend, boyfriend,
Holy
or whatever.
shit! Don't do that.
Don't do that, please.
Be fucking bitches.
What happened to me was purely chance and very circumstantial. Please do not make members of any gender awkward by trying to hit on them while they're trying to play tabletop.
It's weird as fuck, and you're not smooth.
Yeah, it's weird it's weird, and you're supposed to be around them for a couple hours. Just don't do it. Maybe if you're hitting it off really well at the table, maybe. But like, unless you feel that chemistry, and like, okay, you know what? No, just don't do it. Just don't do it. I would say that, and then someone's like, well, I thought I felt chemistry. Yeah, no. I won't be held responsible for that. Just don't do it.
Yes, be fucking normal.
To be fair, she and I didn't get to know each other until we started hanging out outside of Adventures League, and we didn't start dating until like a month after that. So, you know, I did not pick her up at Adventures League. We met there and then started hanging out outside of there.
Yeah.
And that wasn't even with the intent of like personally hanging out. It was just like, hey, why don't you join our Discord? Maybe you can join one of our other groups. And then we started talking on Discord, and then here we are. So, you know, that's how it was. I did just don't. It's not a place to date. It's not a place to meet people, unless you want to play tabletop with them. Then it's a great place to meet people. Sometimes, not always.
There's always a big caveat that's like, fucking, just be normal.
People suck, okay?
They do.
It's just like, there's a handful of times where you either like someone, don't like someone, or like them and then dislike them later. So, and sometimes there's someone you dislike that you like later. That happens very rarely, but it does happen. Anyway, we're just happy to be back.
Honestly.
We're happy to be doing this again. I'm happy that now, coming into this new year, we're producing 2 videos a week on this channel, which is pretty nuts, honestly. That's essentially doubling my workload, especially because Alex didn't even help me with last week.
Nope.
That was all me, so I didn't even get help this time. I did it both, and I'll do them both probably for the foreseeable future, unless
if I didn't get like horribly sick over the vacation, I would have, but because I was so sick, I couldn't think straight.
Nah, that's
there is a okay, so y'all in watching in chat or like later, I got COVID over like the winter break with my family. I'm better now. I'm not sick anymore. I have like the remaining like weird symptom of a cold that just stays for like fucking weeks. Sadly, one of them is I'm a little hazy, which is why I've been like talking weird a little bit. Any stuttering is because like it hits different, bro. There's something it does to your brain where you just cannot think. It is very strange. Just critical thinking is gone. I don't know why. So even if I was like physically able to do tabletop, which I wasn't because I coughed myself hoarse, so I couldn't talk very well and for very long. I would say nothing of any worth. There'd be literally no point I could make because I could not think that clearly. Stay safe, wear a mask, take care of yourself, don't get sick.
good words to end on. All right. Good luck. If you're still watching, wow, amazing. You're great. You know what great people like you should do? You should either follow us on Twitch or like and subscribe this chat so that you can catch us at a later time and join us for more future chats. We'd love to have you here talking with us, asking your questions, doing whatever. And if you want to go the extra distance, you can join us in the Discord linked below on YouTube or down below on Twitch, where we talk about all things tabletop, including Warhammer and other, you know, I'm sure other war games would be acceptable too, as well
make fun of
as
you that much.
fair. And plus, everyone makes fun of Alex. Who cares what he says?
Yeah, exactly.
And I always recruit from my Discord first for any of my games. So if you want the chance to play with us in the future, be on the lookout there.
Also, if you want to be extra cool and just like get a lot of just immediate clout in our community, what you can do is join our Discord. Go down to the community section of our Discord text channel. Click the Warhammer thing and look at the picture I sent and say, wow, Alex, very cool. That's a great model. That's all you got to do.
Those
You'll
exact
immediately
words.
be highly respected in our community. If you misspell it, that might be a ban. Sorry. I make the rules and I enforce them heavily.
And this is why no one takes him seriously. And Sog, if you want to be even cooler than any of that, feel free to share any content you like at any platform of your choice, whether it's a video, whether it's a clip for one of our VODs or something. Share it with your friends. Let more people know about what we're doing here. That'll help the channel grow, and that will be going the extra mile more so than necessary. But we'll get there whether you do or don't, so no pressure. Anyway, with that, have some good luck with your games. Leave the bad luck to me. And we're going to see you guys next time. Let's say goodnight.
Good night. I was hoping
Night,
you'd
everyone.
slip.
I know. I had to do one thing right today.
Good.